Hello, my name is Felix Anand Epp, and I'm a doctoral candidate at the Aalto University in Finland, and I'm working on self-expression with wearables. Today I'm going to present my work Identity through Social Wearables, designing with Finnish university students, together with my co-authors Elena Hirski-Douglas, Andres Lucero, and Tapio Takala. This work is a research through design work, considering wearables in co-located social interactions, and in particular looking at cultural practices of dress, here the Finnish university students and their boiler suits. Wearables actually have becoming more embedded in our social interactions, like for example the smartwatch. And in recent years, researchers and designers have looked into new forms of how we can express or use computation in our clothing when we are in these situations. However, the main question, or a big question here, how the social functions of technology converge with the social function of dress, is of course something that needs to be answering. In our research, we looked at Finnish university students. So our questions are: how do Finnish university students customize their cultural dress, in particular boiler suits? And how would Finnish university students use social wearables to enhance their outfits? The approach that we used here is twofold. We did ethnographic field work in order to understand better the cultural practices around dress, and we used speculative co-design together with the students in order to generate possible futures. And in the end of our work, we are going to conclude and try to draw on both of these methods. We collected data in three different ways. We use participant observation, making photographs, and in situ interviews. Then we had more in-depth interviews with 4 participants, and then we had 3 sessions of dialogue labs, co-design workshops. As you can see here in the timeline, this was a parallel process. The ethnographic field work was over the course of 10 months that we're reporting in this work, and we did different sessions of these workshops with different people over time. So first let's dig into the case that we're looking here, so the dress in Finnish university students. So this is maybe something that some of you have already seen. If not, this is the eve of the 1st of May celebrations, the most important celebration day for university students in Finland. And here you can already see that this particular form of dress is related into the cultural practices of university students. It has a history from wearing caps in the summer, the summer cap, in most of the Nordic countries actually, which then became, especially in technical fields, also involved with using these boiler suits. And over the last 20 years, this aspect of customization and putting these textile patches became more and more prevalent. This case is particularly interesting because technology is a large part of these students, so there is already some cases of embedding electronics in these overalls. What we found through our fieldwork was that a large part of this culture, and that therefore also the dress, is group belonging and community. So each association or study program has their individual color in order to show affiliation. But this also shows on other levels, because already wearing the overall makes you part of that community, and that is a very important aspect. Further, there are a lot of formalized practices, so that comes already from the structures in these associations that are derived from maybe military ideas or fraternities, like for example a freshman captain, but also in the symbolism that students then use in the dress that they're using. Nevertheless, these practices are part of expressing individuality. So each overall and boiler suit is very unique, and that's also part of achieving a part of an achievement in this culture to make a display of yourself based on, for example, the particular textile patches that you collect over the time in different events or just out of interest, personal interests. Further, there's also the aspect of rowdiness, or what we found testing of social norms. So this is related to, of course, also youth culture, so playing with certain limits and in a jokingly way trying to see what suits each individual. And then, of course, when we look at how much time people spend in order to crafting these very complex overalls, there's a huge aspect of creativity and doing something for your own, and through that also a part of self-exploration. Let's next look into the co-design activities that we were doing. We used the Dialogues Labs method and invited students across different stations to do different tasks to create ideas towards how they could use these social wearable technologies in their cultural dress. And this is meant to cross-pollinate different ideas, so you switch between different stations quickly. The students came up with 81 ideas. 17 of those were selected and then rated, and I'm now going to present the design concepts. So we later grouped out of these ideas larger concepts that were reoccurring during all of these ideas. One thing is displaying groups dynamically. So students saw a chance in using these electronics in order to maybe change how they appear as a group or show groups even more dynamically. For example, here you can see some group display that is dependent on people hugging or kind of like doing a bond together. Then the aspect of collecting and trading something, especially here digital badges, came also up a lot and was valued a lot by the students, which basically corresponds with the idea of collecting and trading also analog badges. The example here was the idea of having one badge that basically displays how many people you have met from different associations and maybe even different cities. Then something very common for social wearables is this idea of conversation starters or some form of inviting people to interact. This example was this idea that these unstructured activities that sometimes happen in larger events could be then guided to find new people and then to activities together, for example, going to a certain party or having a food together. One interesting aspect that came up was concealing identity, or how some students called it infiltration. So how could you maybe use the dynamics of electronic textiles to change your appearance and then maybe even change your affiliation? In this example, they sort of a way to sneak into exclusive parties that are maybe only for members by changing the color, and in this way infiltrating that event. Interestingly, what came up here were concerns about then the color of these overalls actually losing meaning because you can just change it so easily. And then there's also drawing attention, so a very simple way in order to stand out of a crowd. For example, here was this idea that there could be a wearable a tail that you add to your overall, which then users can interact with, and it shoots confetti, for example. And in the end, there's also this aspect of crowdsourced safety, which came up a lot. So there is drinking involved. There's a lot of activities where people are in large crowds, and so if people might get lost, using this connectedness between the devices and having it on your body was seen as a good chance generating some more safety for the participants. What the example here shows is this idea of also making it safe between people. So showing, for example, if someone was touched indecently. Okay, what are we concluding from this? We see basically all these outcomes as chances and challenges for social identity work. Because through all these cultural practices and also the ideas, it was very clear that a lot of it was related to how you present yourself and how you want to actually shape identity through all these activities. The social variables here provide a way of standing out through versatility. So it gives much more range of colors, range of modalities that then can contribute to the ways of standing out that students use already. Further, these dynamics allow to change maybe affiliations or show certain group belongings in a more dynamic fashion, which of course also allows for quicker changes between groups or experimentation towards that. And then lastly, when we look at these dynamics, there is a challenge in the meaning making that comes with digital forms of expression. One example was abundance versus scarcity. Let's say if we have the color that can change really quickly, does it maybe then lose its meaning in its overall? Or if you can just copy digital badges, how is there still the context added or the meaning added to actually having the physical object that is maybe that is only available during a certain time? Finally, we conclude from that augmenting co-located social interactions, especially with wearables or in clothing, actually is a way to replace or reinforce social functions of dress if we here look at shaping identity through clothing. Thanks for my talk, and I'm happy to answer your questions.